Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone tonight. Thank you for being here. So this is hereby given of a regular meeting of the Board of Directors of the District to be held at 105 Port Road, Port Isabel, Texas, on December 8, 2021, at the hour of 5:30 p.m. for consideration of the business of the agenda below. This notice is posted at the office of the district on December 2nd, 2021, 2 p.m. in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code 551041, 551050, not less than 72 hours prior to the time of the said meeting. We do have the presence of a quorum. Present, we have Mr. Donahue, Mr. Starkey, and Mr. Friedman. Dr. Lalonde will be joining us shortly, and Mr. Dave Botter has notified us he will not be here tonight. If I may please have everyone stand for the Pledge of Allegiance on the invocation.
Pledge allegiance to the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, Jesus Christ, please bless this day and let us have a wonderful board meeting in your name. Amen.
Amen.
That takes us to item 3, invitation to the audience for public comments. Board, staff, Zoom. Welcome, Victor.
Victor Baldinos, Grant Access. Just want to report to the board that the staff did an amazing job at the Christmas parade in Port Isabel. As a matter of fact, they won first place.
Nice.
They will be receiving a plaque probably next week. So we're really proud of them. You can watch the entire parade on the Facebook platform where we did post the entire parade, including our staff. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to the staff. I know they worked hard.
I have one more, Mr. Sherman, members of the board, just like to report that the employees gave to the Salvation Army, angels, they call them angels, I guess, families. 6 families that we gave a lot of gifts to each family. And then besides that, there was enough money to purchase Whataburger meals, $40 coupons for each one. So thanks to the employees for giving back to the community. So just wanted to mention that. And then again, our condolences to Noe Hinojosa's family and himself. His father passed away during the Thanksgiving holiday. So I think it was right before the Thanksgiving holiday. Anyhow, we'll just keeping on their prayers and the family to lift them up. So give them comfort. Let's see here. Lift stations number 37. I just wanted to let the board that if you see activity there or lift station 1, they started working on the construction on both of those lift stations. They're almost finished with number 1, the station at Mesquite, but number 37 at Ocelot, they're still on it. You might see traffic, construction workers. And that's all I have for item number 3.
Thank you, Carlos. Anything else? Anyone? Thank you. Let's carry. Discuss and approve a resolution authorizing the issuance of Laguna Madre Water District Unlimited Tax Refunding Bonds, Series 2022, authorizing execution of a paying agent, registrar agent, and a purchase contract act or an investment letter authorizing other matters related to the issuance of the bonds, delegating authority to certain officials of the district to select outstanding bonds to be refunded and to approve all final terms of the bonds and providing for an immediate effective date. For the record, we have Dr. Lalonde joining the meeting.
Okay,
I don't know if he's on, but
he said he was gonna be on Zoom, but you wanna take over?
I'll take on if he comes in.
I see you need something.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, anyway, Bobby Villarreal with Estrada Hinojosa, apologize on Noe's behalf, but he couldn't make it. But again, what you're entertaining today is a parameters order that was prepared by your bond counsel, Noel Valdez. So if you have your that sheet, looks like this. So it's if you go to page 2, slide 2. If you notice where it says general obligation debt outstanding, There's two bonds, a 2016 and a 2012, which is in green. The one in green is the one we're looking at. It's a $9.3 million. They're callable. There's a call date which says that you can refinance it on June 1st of 2022, which is coming up. And so what we're asking the board is for permission or parameters to go out and do the refinancing. If you slide over to slide 4, this is a refunding overview. Like I said before, if you notice they're callable or refinanceable in 2022 and on June 1st. That means they can be done on a tax exempt basis 90 days prior to that date. So within that window, that allows us to go out and price around the first week of February and then close it sometime around March 1st. So if you right now with the current market rates that we're looking at, and we're adding 35 basis points of cushion, again, market interest rates have been fluctuating. So we wanted to get the parameters and get ahead of the curve here. So if you notice, we would be refunding $9.3 million. And right now we estimate with the current market of a true interest cost of about 1.78%. Now the bonds that we'd be refunding, if you go all the way to the bottom of the refunding summary, the average coupon of these bonds is 3.86%. So the percentage savings that today we're looking at refunding these, we think that we could accomplish around 8.96% savings for the district. And on an annual basis from the year 22 to 33, that's about an average of 82,901. And again, if you look to the over to the right, it's just a summation of each year on how those savings come out. Again, it's in real dollars, we're looking at roughly about 911,910. Net present value, that's about 833,911. Now, impact to the district. If you go to the next page, page 5, it's not a big impact. As you know, the TAV of the district is about 3.5 billion. So roughly every penny is about 350. So you're saving about 88,000 a year. So that's, if you look where it says INS tax rate increase or decrease, you're looking at probably a drop of about 0.17 of a seventh of a penny. But having said that, that's what the order is before you today, just to give us the authority to go out to the market, see good interest rates, and come back to Carlos and seek approval to move forward on it.
So all you're doing is refinancing about the tax fund.
Yes, this is not new money. It's not extending it further. It's the same amount of length. It's just getting you a better
90
rate.
days is March. How are we going? This is already December. So how can you go out? How can you get started this fast if you can't enact the savings before March?
No, this gives us the parameters to go out to the market. We have to do a number of things before we go out there. Ratings, due diligence calls, all kinds of financial issues with the staff. So between now and about February 1st, we need to, do a lot of legwork before now and then, and that would allow us to refund it in anticipation of March 1st.
Will this order be brought before us again in February to approve whatever you find and recommend, or will this just give you the authority to go find it, do it, execute it, so that we meet the 90-day prior to June deadline?
Yeah, it gives us the authority to do that because
Time is money.
by the time we say, hey, we got a good interest rate, come back to you, then we lose the interest rate.
Understood.
So we all been
You're
through
just
this.
getting ahead.
Yeah, you've been through this process before.
Hopefully we'll get a better rate.
Motion approved.
Motion for approval by Mr. Starkey, second by Dr. Lalonde. All those in favor?
Aye.
They are. None opposed. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Item 5, consider and discuss for possible approval the minutes of the regular meeting from November 23rd, 2021. Motion for approval by Mr. Donahue,
Second.
second by Dr. Lalonde. All those in favor?
Aye.
They are. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Item 6, general manager's report.
All I have is just a reminder of the award banquet, which there's a dinner included in that one. and it'll be at Pirates Landing. And I know I have one board member that called me that is gonna go. I'm hoping if I can get more numbers so we can be better prepared. If y'all can let me know before the meeting is over, when the meeting's over, just think about it, let me know. When you guys are gonna attend, so we can put the numbers in place for the dinner.
I'll be there in spirit.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you. Item 7, Director of Operations Report, Robert.
Good afternoon, gentlemen, chairman, members of the board. Beginning of the month, and just to compare the call outs and service orders that were made for this past November and comparing them to November of 2020. There wasn't much of a difference. There was a drop of 17 call out service orders that were made from November of 2020 and November of 2021. We had 222 in November of 2020 and 205 this year. And they vary. Most of them were in the customer service area, where we had 21 that dropped, but we had an increase of 4 in the water plant, or I'm sorry, distribution. So that kind of netted that out to the 17. There was a difference here and there, pretty much the same, not too big of a difference. In the collection area, we had 53 call outs in November of 2020. This November, we had 34. There was a difference of 19 service orders and call outs that were made. And then in the pre-treatment lift station, we had a difference of a drop of 4 calls that they made. Most of them were in the contact with the new food service establishments. But overall, they just vary 1, 2 here and there. And that's the report itself. If anybody has any questions. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Robert.
sir.
Move along to item 8, District Engineers Report, Charles.
All right, so the first item is just giving you an update on the Seawater desalination status. We're in the process with trying to get that agreement approved with the Corps of Engineers to do this study here on, to locate our intake at the Port Isabel San Benito Navigation District and see how that's going to interact with our outfall and waste. And one of the comments we got back from the attorney review at the Corps is they needed a letter from the state stating that this study is consistent with the state water plan in our project that we do have listed as our seawater desalination project. So I went ahead and reached out to Madre, the South Region Manager at Texas Water Development Board, and sent her a letter just giving her an update on the project. And over the phone, she said that yes, they can provide a letter from the state, so we can use that to get the clearance from the attorney review and proceed with our agreement that we have with the Corps of Engineers. So that's basically the update I have. And so the letter that's in the board packet is what was sent to Texas Water Development Board, just to give the status of relocating the project from the north end of the island to Port Isabel. So that's basically the update we have for the seawater plant. If there's any questions. All right. So,
Charles.
welcome. And the next item I have on here is just the water system improvements for the tax funds. And basically, since last time the transfer pump for the raw water, we didn't include that on the scope of work from Priest and Nichols in the original contract due to some budget concerns. And so we've reformatted that to do a rehab versus replacement. So that helps cut the construction cost in half. And then also, we know we need to improve our high service pump station at Water Plant 2 as well. And then we need a spec for to get a new pump at the river pump station, because those are in pretty critical condition where we need to at least get a minimum of 1 new motor and pump. And so just with that proposed work and the amendment we have for additional work with Priest and Nichols, I went ahead and compared that to our budget for what we have, with the tax bond project cost being 27.62 million. And with the contingency we have, I mean, we're looking at, contingencies are running over that project cost by 1.2 million. So, it's something we need to watch, but we may have to be looking at maybe some local funds to help commit some of the projects, at the end of the day to get everything done. But that's where the budget is sitting right now. Well, if there might be a cost that would exceed the full amount of the tax bond to finish, get our water plant to high service pumps, the transfer of the raw water pump station, plus all of our water plant and distribution projects from described in the tax bond and the elevator storage tank. So that's kind of looking at everything as a whole, where we're standing, we're cutting into contingencies to do this work. So that's basically the update that I want to present here, just to let you know where we stand. But even with that condition being where it's at, and I do recommend to proceed with this addition of design work, so we can fine tune it and get those costs tied down and just get it to that further level of detail. That concludes the engineer's report.
Charles.
Can I use this as an opportunity to talk, when we talk about development, and it's not really bond related, but I'm still hearing feedback from associates on the island as it pertains to taste and smell. End users that are island based or northern island based. You don't have to really speak to that point tonight, but maybe in a future meeting we could put an item on the agenda to discuss things that we can consider as a district to maybe start addressing that. In my mind, it's infrastructure potentially. By the time it gets from water treatment plant to the end user on the island, their experience is different. Their water experiences are different than mine. Someone that's right next door to the treatment facility. Is that an accurate assessment?
Yeah, it depends on, I guess taste and odor is relative, but we've added that chlorine dioxide, which should have been improved taste and maintaining our circulation and chlorine residual. And those can be factors as well. Make sure we flush our lines, so we can look at some specific details and see how we can come back with
The
more.
only difference that I can think of that may change is the pouring amount. On this side of the causeway, by the time it gets there, it's less strong, the flavor of the pouring or smell, it's less ordinary.
Can bringing
But otherwise, there's no anything else different.
potential of bringing water treatment plant 1 online, and and relatively speaking, it will have the same cleaning as 2. Would that help support this and make it better?
It may,
And that
because it's
microfiltration.
closer.
Yeah, the microfiltration is what I was thinking. It's closer to the end user, so essentially one would hope that could help alleviate this problem as well. And it's not a new problem. It's one that's been around for a while.
Yeah, and even with the distribution improvements for Laguna Boulevard, the bypass line, that's going to improve circulation, so that helps keep the water fresh as well.
Oh, cool.
That may be the point where it makes a difference because the water stays longer in the pipes on that side.
I understand now.
You have to take into account the water source and take into account that people want bottle flavored water.
Yeah.
But there's all sorts of scenarios.
It's just, I don't have any taste or smell issues. And you're right. It's all, the beauty's in the eyes of the beholder, and so is taste and smell. But I don't have those issues, in Laguna Vista, but they're pretty consistent on the island. And so, just want to bring that up. And hopefully that can be some light at the end of the tunnel, what we're doing with all this infrastructure, especially the bypass on the island. And one, pressure issues could also help be alleviated with this larger elevation station. Is that correct?
Yes, well, the high service pumps, the fact that we'll be able to because there's an additional pump coming out of Port Isabel that is the line across the causeway, direct feed to the island.
Great,
And so that'll be a quicker response for when we need to increase our pressure.
great. Okay, thank you. Not to throw you a curveball there, but
It's okay, I'm here.
just, I said I would mention it, so that's me mentioning it. And if we can consider those and maybe talk about them at a later date, it'd be great.
We ready for 9?
Yes.
Item 9, consider and discuss for possible approval of utility letter of No objection for the demolition of the old Queensville Causeway in Port Isabel.
All right, so this is just a notice we received from the General Land Office about the old Queen Isabella Causeway. It's about to get demolished and sent out, hauled off to the Gulf to help build a coral reef offshore. And so we do have our water main, the 24-inch water main under the bay, about 160 foot south of the bay, of the bridge, in a dedicated easement. And so they're just requesting this letter that we're okay for them to proceed with the demolition.
What is the timeframe? Do they-
I think they're planning this summer. And we also see some cranes out there. I don't know if it's related. Yeah, so it's maybe part of the work that's already getting started.
They're building a coral reef.
Yes,
There is
that,
a reef currently.
It's a reef, they're already doing.
Concrete slab.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's add to it.
right.
For diving. Really?
They've done quite a few already, but they're adding more.
Yeah.
with the-
They've put
Especially the concrete
large
slabs.
concrete structures, basically.
Coral attached to it and grow and attracts
And
little
water
fish with the
Colonies,
better
create
fish.
colonies. It's pretty amazing.
better-
It's called the
Better snappers.
RGV Reef Association,
How far out is it?
about 12 miles.
Short. All right.
We're good?
Yeah, I just request,
Yes.
approval of the, first, we can sign off on the letter.
Motion approved. Motion for approval by Mr. Donahue, second by Dr. Lalonde. Are all those in favor?
Aye.
They are, none opposed, motion carries. Thank you. It's gonna be nice when it's gone. Item 10, consider and discuss for possible approval of amendment number 1 for water system improvements, engineer design, bid and construction phase services to Teresa Nichols.
Right, so yeah, this is the amendment for the additional work with Reese Nichols, which would increase their contract amount by $543,209. And with a revised contract amount not to exceed $3,893,621 to get the full set of projects from the tax funds under design. So recommend approval for the additional work.
Why are we doing this? Why
This
are we
is,
giving them another $500,000?
it's the raw water transfer pump station, to get that pump station inside improved. What we did is, the original contract when we were negotiating was for a new pump station, but we've renegotiated the scope to make that a rehab. So we've cut the construction dollars in half, but we still have to pay this additional design fee to get it to construction. And so it's that work. Also, the work we need to still get done for the high service pumps at Water Plant 2. Right now, it's not assigned to an engineer, but that work still needs to happen. So we're proposing that scope of work to be part of this amendment as well. And then our river pump station, we've had some major failures recently where we're requesting their assistance to get some specifications for a new pump at that site as well.
At the river.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Motion for approval by Dr. Lalonde,
Second.
second by Mr. Starkey. Are all those in favor?
Aye.
They are, none opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Charles. Let's carry on to item 11, Director of Finance Report.
I want to give the board an update on some investments that we had 3 CDs that matured in November. One for 300,000 from our general fund, one for 519,000 from our tax bond reserve, and one for 259,000 from our revenue bond reserve. So those expiring CDs had interest rates at 0.42 in a term of a year. The rates have stabilized recently, but there's a lot of cash out there in the market and there's not much appetite for deposits. So we solicited to 24 banks, but only 2 offers were returned. The best one.
Alex is right. You just put that in a savings account and wait a couple months? For real?
It's actually slightly better than the money market that we have available, and it is actually better than the rates that we got. So August was good. So it's like
How much, the term is a 1-year term?
it's hoping that we won't with the inflation. Yeah.
Didn't you tell them like, hey, our costs went up 5.9% here?
There was, like I said, there's not much appetite right now for deposits. 24 minutes. So it's a bit of
It's crazy.
even small.
Need that money and I'll make us 5% and I'll take 1% cut.
I wish there are some, more aggressive investments, but they're not allowed to do that.
They don't let board members do that, Brian?
I don't think you had to go to law school for that.
Thank you, Eddie. Item 12, consider and discuss for possible approval of end-of-year budget adjustments.
We're doing the reconciliation of our budget. Now that we have year-end revenues and expenses. So in summary, there was only two departments that had more expenses. It's already had the past 10 years.
Where do you think they all were mostly, where did most of these connections go?
Have that data.
Where do you think? these go, Russ? These were new connections we were hooking up?
Yes,
Yeah, where did we have most of our new connections?
a lot of them were in the golf course, most of them, and then we have a couple of housing projects that are coming up,
Over here.
and we're doing tabs on them. But we do have quite a few meters we connected this year than we had last year.
So by and large though, over on the golf course,
Yes,
is where we saw the most growth.
yes, sir.
I have a question. Sorry to interrupt, Dr. Lawon. If a residential had 2 meters, an irrigation and their normal, would that be shown as on this 200? Okay.
Yes.
Heights is expanding there. I've seen like 4 or 5 homes built up already. That what's that, Pennsylvania Street?
Yeah, in Pennsylvania, there has to be at least
Close to
75.
100, because we put it in water
I think there's gonna be quite a few after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this coming year.
So
They were close-
that's
they were
not
close to
considered these numbers, it's the
85%.
subdivision of the ground.
It's good.
Right? How nice that
Growth is,
we support the lovely amenity in Laguna Vista, and it turns out that that lovely amenity supports growth for our district. What good decisions we've made over the past several years to support that. Thanks, everybody.
to that point, back to the analysis of all these documents. So that department went over?
Yes, so that one had higher expenditures than what was budgeted,
How much do we go over?
171,000.
Because when they pay for those meters, that doesn't cover all our expenses?
No, this is just, we're talking about budget. So we're only looking at the expense side, we're not looking at the revenue side.
Oh,
So we're just comparing what we budgeted to the actual page.
yeah, because I'd like to think we're selling them for more than we're providing them for,
Yes,
right?
Theoretically, the amount that we charge for new connections would pay.
More than paid for that, hopefully.
Plus the supplies going up.
Yeah, but just as a reminder, those connection fees have not been adjusted since 2007.
And that's where I was going with this. Have we looked at that? Because, you know, materials have been under attack over the last 18 months, and we really need to analyze what does it actually cost us in labor and materials to provide a new connection? What are we actually charging? Because I know, as you know, someone that represents a builder in town, that cost hasn't changed for the client, and maybe we should.
Yeah, I think it would be prudent to look at all their connections.
Absolutely.
They haven't been adjusted.
In a number of years.
Yeah, we need to look at that.
A number of years.
2007 was the last time.
Because what's the connection cost? $1,200 and some odd dollars?
There's several ways you can look at it, though. Yes, the cost probably should be evaluated, but it's an ongoing. I mean, once that connection, the taxes, plus
Mhm.
it's a win-win going forward once you get that connection.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously what I'm saying would negatively impact the company I
What the-
represent,
what the
but as
cost
a
of
board
the
member,
meter
we'd
and
want to cover it.
Yeah, the cost of the meter.
Yeah, whatever that meter costs, we should be charging at least that,
Needs
plus
to-
the
it should
labor,
be
plus
evaluated.
making a little
It
bit on
has
top.
been A long time since I've
At
been
least.
evaluated.
Yeah, because we're
Look
not,
into it and find out.
For next year's budget, did we go ahead and expand that?
Yeah, usually that's a.
indicator that we need to inflate that
study
particular
is
line
done
item.
By a professional to look at those fees and make sure that we're.
When we do our rate studies, it needs to be incorporated into the rate study. Is what it should be in reality.
I don't think we need to study this line item more than
No,
what
it
we're
just
looking
goes
at
into the
tonight.
rate.
Like,
No, but
it went up, we should account for that next year, maybe plus 1.5%.
In the next rate study, we should. specifically look at-
Address that.
When do we do a rate study?
Usually we do them at the end of the period, like just covered in the previous. So the previous one was done 5-year rate study, which would cover, I think next year is the last year
Yeah.
of that rate study. So usually next year we would initiate a new rate study to look at the.
How long does it take to complete a rate study?
I came in towards the end of the last one, so.
Couple of months, maybe.
Like if I said, hey, do a rate study right now, would it be done by the end of March?
Yes,
Yeah.
but it also costs 100 grand,
Yeah, we don't have.
80 grand, I think, something like that.
for rate study.
But it could yield a healthy return.
Well, just given that that the market has changed so much, maybe more than what was in the last rate study, Scott.
The next rate study does come up next year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's already in course of action.
Would it be in 22 or 23?
Rates would take effect in 23.
I mean,
Yeah.
when do you think the next rate study would be, 23 or 22?
So we
Scheduled for
would,
next year.
We would budget it and it would take place next year and the adjusted rates would take effect.
I'm not worried about the adjusted
in the fall
rates.
of 2020.
I only want to know, when will the study be done?
That's.
We haven't ordered it yet.
Like maybe
What?
2022.
Is it a 2022 thing?
In the 22, 23 fiscal year, right? Because this year is the 21, 22 fiscal year. The next one is going to be the 22, 23 fiscal year. And the study will take place in that fiscal year, September, ending September.
So if I said,
The rates will take effect.
Yeah.
Jump
that
the gun and
October.
order it ahead of
I
time.
get all that. If I said I want to vote on this by September 22, could we do that on a rate study? Okay.
Putting it as an agenda.
Then I would say my goal is to have a vote on this by the end of September 2022 on our next rate study and the proposed rates going forward from there.
In order to achieve that, we probably have to order the study in the first quarter, so it could be executed in the second quarter, and we can vote on it on the third quarter.
We would do that is when you guys approve the budget for that coming year, it would be a line item in that budget. And so that approval will take place in that September.
Good.
2022.
Right.
But it won't take place in 23.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to institute a huge rate increase, but just not be here when it happens. Isn't that what people do? Isn't that what politicians do?
Fine with us.
I'll be giving out your phone number.
That's right.
Then-
No. So, but honestly, by the end of September 22 this year.
Roughly,
that could-
yes.
That could happen.
Yes, we expect to have that.
Our last increase is mostly in the waste.
That's right. So I'd like to, I would like to participate, and I know so would Mr. Starkey, in the hiring of the next rate reviewer and looking at his or her findings and then voting on whatever those findings would be as a board. Before I get to the, I was really jealous as a audience member when I watched her do that a couple years ago, and so now that I'm in the seat, I think it would be a unique experience that our community.
Yeah, definitely that raise something that the professional service community would take a look at qualified people.
Go out for RFPs, go out for RF.
Amazing that Dan Jackson has always won those.
RFQs.
You're on fire.
Go out for RFQs.
Okay, good.
Professional services.
Yeah, I can't wait. And then back to my initial points. Thanks for giving me more work, Dr. Long. We don't need a rate study to do an internal evaluation on our meter costs and rate to sell a meter, do we? I'm buying a meter for $100. I'm paying my guys $50 to install it. I should be selling it for $200. Like, can we look at those numbers now and make sure that we're not underselling that? Because I get that the revenue will eventually pay for it, but I'm of the belief that it should pay for itself the day it gets installed. And some.
Yeah. Yeah, I could try to do that analysis. So,
It shouldn't be that difficult.
I think you could do it, just knowing
You're more than qualified.
yes.
Okay.
I think it only involves
I'll
pluses.
face it.
It doesn't go past pluses and minuses.
Sure.
In order operations, you can handle that one, I think.
I'll do my best.
Yeah.
You understand why, right? Like,
Yes.
what's the other line item that we went over in the collections department?
The lift station department. So
Oh.
the lift station was one that was brand new last year. So budgeting for that was challenging since we didn't have a lot of historical costs to go along with that. So we did our best estimate, but the expenses came out a little bit higher than what we had budgeted.
But we came under in all other departments on
That
these
is
30
correct.
pages that you just
That
gave
is
me.
correct.
And
Yes.
the difference in the unders versus the overs is
So
$581,086.74 that we
That's
have to
correct.
the good.
And the majority of that is
Christmas fund?
the big, no, it is the big belt press that we ordered
That
in
sounds cool.
July, and it will not arrive until February is the latest date that they've given us. And we're not going to be able to fit that into this last.
We won't be able to
fiscal
pay
year.
for that this year, so we're left with creative ways to spend 581 grand. Zero.
Yes,
No,
and,
that's not necessarily the amount that will be over.
We'll be under next year.
You're saying it's a wash.
Yeah, it'll be going into our fund balance.
How many Chevy Traverses have you buy this?
Zero. Zero.
Back to that argument.
That's an easy.
I think that I heard Mr. Starkey's company might be donating one of those.
Oh, goodness.
on his
Now
way
it's
out.
time to move on. We were getting off the agenda.
Just a rumor.
We done?
This is acknowledged, right? Or is this an action item? Then I motion to approve.
Motion for approval by Mr. Starkey, second by Dr. Lalonde. Are all those in favor?
Aye.
There are any opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you.
And we transition into spending money.
Item 13, consider and discuss for
Right.
possible approval of purchase of lift station 11 pump for lift station department.
Notice the flow of the agenda. Oh, wow. Well, no action. Sorry.
Hold on.
Item
Hearing's the
14,
second thing to
consider
go.
and discuss for possible approval of purchase of sewer inspection camera and transporter for collections department.
Sounds like all my equipment on the golf course.
Part of the budget that was approved for this year. We are recommending the board to approve the contract with Paris and equipment company for the purchase of our inspection camera for $56,500.
So we took no action on the first item, and
Correct.
this one, we'd like some action. on.
Correct.
So moved.
For a camera.
Purchase for approval by Dr.
Is it
Lalonde
HD? Second.
and seconded by Mr. Donahue. All those in favor?
All right, you guys are
Make
gonna
sure
miss
it's
this when we're
HD.
going.
Thank you.
I'll tell you right now.
Black and white. and
You put it on an 8K TV, I want it to look good.
Like, remember those days when Adam and Jason?
Item 15, consider and discuss possible payment ratification for purchasing the 80 by 5/8 meter for warehouse inventory.
Ferguson, the vendor who we purchased the water meters. They let us know they won't have any more inventory of February next year. So we placed an order for 5/8 meters. We have in stock. We are asking the board for the verification of the payment.
So what is that? How much is that per meter? That's frustrating.
I know, that's what I was-
What's the
where's my
number
phone?
you're looking for?
Yeah. So we're getting 80 of them,
Sorry,
even though we
Adam.
needed 219 of them this year. Can I call dibs on all 80? I didn't say it. Strike that from the record.
I'm professional.
17,
I called dibs on two.
motion to approve.
Second.
Motion for approval was made by Mr. Starkey.
Yes.
Correct, and second by Mr. Donahue. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Or any opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 15, item 16, consider and review expenditures from November 16, 2021 through November 30th, 2021. Any questions or comments about anyone in particular? Pull anything, discuss anything? Otherwise, a motion to acknowledge. Acknowledged by.
I see it.
Dr. Lalonde, acknowledged by Mr. Friedman, acknowledged by Mr. Starkey, acknowledged by Mr. Donahue. Item 17, consider and remove from the table the following executive session item under section 551074.
The street
Personnel
continues.
matters tabled at a regular meeting on November 23rd, 2021. Deliberation regarding the evaluation of district employees to a general manager. Motion to take off the table. Motion made by Dr. Lalonde.
Second.
Second by Mr. Starkey. All those in favor, they are. Item 18, executive session permitted by Open Meetings Act, Texas Open Meeting Act, BTCA, Government Code Section 551, ed sequence under Section 551071, consultation with attorney under Section 551072, deliberations about real property under Section 551074, personnel matters, deliberation regarding the evaluation of district employees to a general manager. We don't have a full board, so we'll ask to table this item again one more time.
Table.
Motion made by Mr. Starkey. Seconded by Mr. Donahue. All those in favor? They are. None are opposed. Motion carries. Item 19, consideration and action on executive session items if necessary. There are none. That takes us to adjournment. Item 20 at 6:13 PM. Meeting is adjourned. I'd like to thank everyone for being here tonight. Appreciate your assistance in helping with the water district.